Hello everyone, welcome back, and Fantasy Girl back in action, and here we are to discuss real quick the idea of one of the two new jobs that are coming to the upcoming expansion of Endwalker. Now, this was revealed to us at the showcase the other day that we are getting two new jobs for the new expansion, but only one of them was confirmed for us. We'll be learning about the other job and what that part's going to be at a later date. But this here is just going to be a quick rundown or summary of the job of the Sage in the previous Final Fantasy games and what I personally think we might be getting out of it. So after years of waiting, this is going to be the first new healer job that we've gotten since Heavensward, and it's about time. They said that the reason that they took so long was because they didn't want to upset the balance of the other healer jobs that we already had. It was suspected at first that we were going to be getting a new healer in the form of the Dancer job when Shadowbringers was first announced, but so far this is going to be the fourth healer in Final Fantasy XIV along with the Scholar, the White Mage, and the Astrologian. Now, first things first, let's look back on just a quick history of this job before we talk more about what we do know and what we may be able to suspect with the Sage. So, looking back on the history of the Sage job, we need to ask, just traditionally, what is this job for? Well, the Sage is a job that has appeared in just a couple of the Final Fantasy games before now. It's not as common as many other jobs, such as like the White or the Red Mages, but the Sage is supposed to be considered the ultimate form of Red Mage. This was a job that was known to cast both powerful black and white magics and normally is considered to be a powerful healer. Now, it should be noted, however, that while they are powerfully magical, physical attacks are very effective against the mage because they tend to be physically weak with little attack strength. They are typically known to have lower HP and speed compared to some of the other jobs, and like I said, they are weak against physical damages. They also are known to be able to use up a lot of MP in a short amount of time compared to other mage jobs, but this is usually made up in all sorts of matter of spells that they are able to use, unlike other mages who do have limited spells. We first see the Sage in Final Fantasy III in the NES version, and it's gained from the Earth Crystal. Now, the Sage job is a very powerful job in this game because they are strong mages who can master all levels of black and white magic. It was always seen as a good idea to have at least one in your party because of their techniques. However, with their MP severely limited compared to other spellcasting jobs and lack of defense to fight against physical blows, it still can be seen as somewhat of a risky move to have them, though it is still considered to be a power-up version of the Red Mage and has been known to turn the tides of battle provided that one knows when and how to use the Sage. The next time that we see the Sage is in Final Fantasy IV, and I have a feeling that we're going to be getting a lot of references to 4 in this new expansion, but perhaps in this game brings us the most well-known of all the Sages in the Final Fantasy series in the form of Tellah. Tellah was a Sage who was able to cast limited black and white magic when he first joined the party, mostly because he did forget a lot of his spells due to his old age. However, as time progresses, his memory starts to return the more that he journeys with Sissel and the others to avenge his daughter Anna, who died at the hands of Golbez. Before the end, he had remembered all the spells that he had forgotten and became a very powerful mage in our party while he still journeyed with us. Though his MP was still very low, and it's all too easy to go through some of his best spells very quickly. We really don't see too many more terms of the Sage in later games, but we do see various variations of the Sage here and there. Again, Sage isn't one of the most well-known or used jobs, but when you do hear the term of Sage, you immediately know what we're talking about, and that's a sign of just how much the job has struck. Now, it is confirmed that the Sage is coming to Final Fantasy XIV, and we got our first look at it from the teaser trailer from the last showcase, where we see Alphinaud, who's designed with it. And we have seen this happening ever since Shadowbringers. We've seen the other Scions, they've kind of been changing their roles and learn new martial arts or learn new kind of spells and everything to kind of be able to upgrade and help out a lot more often than when they used to. Alphinaud's no different. He's finally getting an update himself. He was definitely considered to be a healer, but he wasn't a scholar. He was more of an academician. I think that's what the job that he was known as. So it looks like he's finally going to be getting his very own upgrade. And this is going to be focusing on healing and using barriers to enhance their defenses of their allies, while using these flying blades known as the Norlifts to channel ether and attack their foes. I love floating weapons like this, to be honest. Now, while the jobs of the White Mage and Scholar are considered by the dev team to be pure healers, this job is going to be very similar to Astrologian in the fact that it's considered to be a barrier healer. This will be the 4th healer, and Alphinaud is supposed to switch his job somewhere during the main scenario quest. Why that is, we don't know just yet, but it is supposed to be a surprise. Anyway, this job, like I said, is using the floating Norlifts, and it's supposed to be a completely original weapon, though it does carry a lot of Gundam force mixed with it. We don't know too much else about the job or the weapons other than what we learned from the showcase, but we do know that this is a job that's going to be starting off at the level of 70, as well as the fact that you unlock it when you're in Limsa. It's going to be able to heal and protect the party with barriers and uses ether to manipulate the Norlifts in battle. Sages will also be able to temporarily augment their own magic abilities, and by anyone asking who ever had to go through the pain of strengthening their gear and weapons over the course of this game, they'll understand that this means that they'll be able to strengthen their own spells, at least for a time. Oh, a quick thing I do want to mention here about the name of Norlifts. The word lith is commonly used from the Greek word of lithos, which means stone. For no, I think that's supposed to mean mind or active mind, so I guess that when you put it all together, Norlifts roughly translates to the magic stone that is controlled by the mind. So I guess we know now how they fly, and I think this is actually a good job for someone like Alphinaud, who is more of a think before you act. At least he used to be. He's now going into more of a act before you think kind of style, so I guess he's starting to go back to that. Anyway, Yoshi P states that they worked hard to make the Sage a very unique job and have high hopes for it to really make it a different kind of healing experience. As for Alphinaud, what is going to happen? I mean, why would he suddenly switch over after using his grimoire for so long? I get it though. I do know that they do need to get some certain upgrades if they do want a chance to stop the final days, especially with Van Daniel and Xenos. So we don't know exactly what's happening right now, but we do know that we're really going to have to step up our game if we want to survive. And I guess he does feel like he's in need of a long-awaited update or upgrade, I suppose you could call it. But what is really going to be the event that triggers that? Well, in this video where they actually showed off a few of the spells and techniques of the Sage, you can clearly see it here that we're in kind of a Charlian environment. So I'm pretty sure that this is actually in the Great Gooball Library. But why would they choose this particular place, of all places, to reveal the Sage? Other than the fact that the job is a name that's for classic philosophy, especially for someone who's attained very great wisdom, especially for a philosopher. My idea here is that we do end up going to Charlian in this expansion, at least for a brief moment. We visit the city, and it could be that the city is the new hub. We need to wait and see if that's confirmed yet. But we do this because we need to learn more information about the final days and Heidelin, and I think Charlian just might be the perfect place to be able to discover that. This was just an idea, but I thought it would just be perfect. He got the weapons and the new outfit from his father. It is confirmed that his father is still alive. We don't know anything about him. They even went through all the trouble of actually creating a character for him, and I think that it would be perfect. Perhaps their father is demanding that his children return home and stop this nonsense of trying to save the world and save Eorzea. And they go through like this whole madness in Charlian for some reason, just trying to find out some more answers. And they go through like all of this like chaotic stuff here, because the chaos is happening here as well. It's not just in Eorzea and Ishabard and Othard and all those other places. But yeah, we're having a lot of difficulties here in Charlian, just trying to figure out, like, maybe open Charlian's doors, because they are such isolationists, and they just don't want to help people, even when they know that they probably should. They hoard all of this knowledge and everything, and they probably have the knowledge that we need, knowledge about Heidelin and how to stop the final days. And it just gets into a huge conflict with the twins and their father because they do have such separate ideas. They have such different ideas of what they think that Charlene should become. And I think that during all of this, like, they come to confront their father, but they come to understand each other before the end. Their father eventually gives them their support and blessing to continue on their mission to protect Eorzea and the world. It was said during the showcase that Alize's new outfit is going to be given to her by someone unexpected. So, I mean, I can imagine that maybe she was gifted by that outfit by her father, who finally recognizes and acknowledges her differences and her choices, and maybe he granted these special weapons to Alphinaud too, so that they could protect themselves and be prepared for whatever happens out there. He goes from opposing us to maybe accepting the Warrior of Light. I can imagine that too, because he would probably be hugely against the Warrior of Light at this point, because he feels that they're dragging his children into like these dangerous, life-threatening situations. I can totally see him like coming, like butting heads with the Warrior of Light, to maybe opening his eyes and seeing just why the Warrior of Light is so important to the twins. I mean, it has been joked about for a long time that both twins, like maybe Alize more than Alphinaud, but that the twins have like a crush, like a hero worship slash crush on the Warrior of Light, and he clearly sees that and he doesn't like it. But during all of this, they come to maybe a sort of agreement. Maybe the twins get kidnapped or something, and they kind of had to band together to rescue them or something along those lines. Or maybe their father gets kidnapped and he's being held hostage by the Studium or something, or maybe some corrupted members of the Studium, and so they come barging in and save him and all of Charlene in the process. And and he goes from opposing the whole idea of saving the world and opening up the borders to maybe accepting the Warrior of Light as like a member of the family like the twins do, and then he starts to support his children unconditionally, and that's his story arc. Let's do it! Come on, that would be amazing! I mean, I'm not saying for sure that's gonna happen. That was just an idea that popped into my head, and I don't know. I mean, they have been mentioning Charlene a lot more often. They even mention their father here and there. And I do think that it would be a really nice case to actually go to Charlene and actually maybe meet the family and have some kind of conflict. Like, give the twins a reason to really want to step up and show their father wrong. I mean, I do think it's about time that we are getting another healer, and I'm super excited about it. Healer isn't really a job that I queue up for that often. I usually prefer to DPS. I did get into tanking a lot since Shadowbringers came out, and I'm really hopeful that this new job is going to be my new favorite healer. Anyway, everyone, that's a brief history of the Sage job and everything that we know so far about the job that's coming out for us in 6.0, and maybe just some of my own personal ideas of what I think is going to be like with it. So anyway, so let me know what you all think. Until next time, this is Fantasy Girl signing out.